I am joined now by CBS This Morning co-host Norah O'Donnell, Face the Nation moderator and CBS News political director John Dickerson, and CBS News contributor and Wall Street Journal columnist Peggy Noonan. Great to have you all with me here.
Good day to you.
So, Norah, what do you expect tonight? What is the big takeaway when the 90 minutes of this town hall is over?
Well, I think the idea that Donald Trump could do something tonight that would change the trajectory of this race is a wrong assumption.
Okay.
I think that the damage has been done. As you noted, there are many Republican lawmakers who have said, denounced his comments, but have also said they won't vote for him. And I think most significantly is that the apparatus that he's relying on in order to win the presidency has also abandoned him.
The Republican National Committee and its ground game.
Right. The chairman of the RNC, Reince Priebus, who was set to appear with John on Face the Nation this morning, pulled back, and that's why Rudy Giuliani was put out instead. But what he has said is pause or stop to what is the Victory Fund operation, which is the ground game, which gets people to the polls. 40% of votes are going to be decided before Election Day.
Cast through early voting, yeah.
Right. That's why organization ground game matters. And if the Republican Party essentially says hands off and we're going to instead direct those resources to down ballot races, that's the margin of victory that will result in Hillary Clinton winning an election.
John, you just came off the set of Face the Nation, so I'm going to give you a moment to pause. I'm going to ask Peggy this question because you have been in councils with political leaders in times of stress. If you were a part of this council, not to say that you would want to be, but is there anything you think you could actually plausibly recommend to Donald Trump that could be helpful in this particular situation?
Oh, my gosh. No.
It's that bad. It's that bad. Which is an important answer, I think.
It is very difficult for a candidate like Donald Trump, who does things his own way, who's often got a heady sense of, I'm doing this, I don't have to listen to that. It's hard for that person who has, in effect, if he has noticed, been humiliated in front of the American people for that 11-year-old tape of him saying what he said was, among a number of other things, a humiliating event, to be revealed to be someone who talks about women that way, who talks that way lightly, not even in a giddy moment with somebody who's your best friend and your wingman, but some TV interviewer who's just chuckling along and echoing you and encouraging you on. To have that come forward and then to have to go before the American people, for that's what he's doing tonight, and give a different impression or a better impression or a deeper impression or explain who you are and what your essential nature is the kind of thing that is very, very tough. I don't know if you can do it in theater in the round, which is what we'll be witnessing tonight.
John, you've asked on your show many times politicians questions about their approach to power, their approach to life, how their previous experiences have informed them in different political situations. In my conversations yesterday, several Republicans said what bothered them most about this is Trump at one point said, hey, if you're a celebrity, you can get away with anything. Which they said, wait a minute. In America, the presidency is sort of like the top political celebrity in our country. And if that's his understanding of what you can do with power, that you have license to abuse it, that's what bothered them the most.
Exactly.
I'd like your thoughts on that.
Well, you're exactly right. So, and what the other link they were making in conversations I was having was this isn't about 11 years ago, because he has demonstrated time after time in this campaign that same feeling about power, that same sense of normal rules don't apply, that same bouncing past the boundaries that we normally have, whether it's the boundaries of good taste when you're in private, or even the boundaries of good taste when you're in public. He's talked about doing things with that are totally against the Constitution in a kind of easy, light-handed way, that there is nothing to rein him in. And what's interesting about a debate is that a debate is a compulsory exercise that reins in your impulses. You have to go through the compulsory exercise. He seems unwilling to, and that was before all of this, and tonight he has to do something that's really impossible because it goes against his essential nature. His essential nature, what brought him to the dance, was I don't apologize. I don't back down from anything. What everybody's saying they're looking for, as you quite rightly pointed out, Paul Ryan chief among them, is him backing down somehow. It's just not in his nature.
You know, we've all been road warriors together on the campaign trail for many years covering different presidential candidates. And one of the things that has concerned me about this presidential race is the lack of focus on issues, matters of substance. And there are real matters. We have a $19 trillion deficit. We have entitlement reforms that are about to explode, an education crisis in this country. You have healthcare premiums that have gone up double digits in this country. Anyway, all of those issues are not being discussed. And so I keep saying that this is a substance-free campaign. And the more I bring that up, people say to me, yes, but this is ultimately a campaign about character. And the presidency, and this is a test of character. And character has been revealed over this very long, long process that we've had. My only concern is that you have to have, when you have that enormous power of the presidency, you have to have a strong two-party system. I mean, that's what our democracy is built on, a system of checks and balances. And my concern is that there isn't a strong Republican Party at this point, because the leader of their party is in severe crisis right now. And some of the rank and file have abandoned him. And that means that there isn't a proper check on if for instance, Hillary Clinton were to win, you have to have a strong check on that power.
Well, I think you're going to hear that word show up in a lot of ads starting in about a week, if not sooner, especially if Trump doesn't thread the needle in some miraculous way tonight. And people say, well, there it is. It's still terrible. And we've got to figure out a way to protect, meaning Republicans, institutionally, the majority in the House and the majority in the Senate. And then Rob Portman and Kelly out say, elect me because Hillary Clinton may be the next president, and if she appoints people to the Supreme Court, I have to be there to at least be a barrier against that.
And what is the precedent for that? What is the precedent?
1996. Yeah. With Bob Dole. That's exactly where the messaging went a month out when the Republican establishment and the lawmakers said, he's not going to win. Let's shift our resources. He's the presidential nominee, but we're going to save the majorities in the Congress.
Yeah, and that would, and Paul Ryan will have to say a version of the same thing and say we can quickly rebuild the Republican Party. I mean, there are already people jockeying to be in the post-Trump world. The problem, of course, is that only exacerbates the underlying tension that gave rise to the Trump campaign in the first place, which is the disconnect between the Washington elites and the grassroots.
And Peggy, I want to talk to you about that because time and time again in this campaign, I've been told by Trump people, all you people live in a bubble. You live in this self-reinforcing, intellectualized world that doesn't understand the revulsion with Washington, the sickness of politics as usual, and the idea that Trump is our sledgehammer, meaning people who are sick of it. Yes. And we're going to stick with that sledgehammer no matter what. And we're going to do it even more aggressively when you elites tell us to stop doing it. And I keep asking myself, am I missing some great tectonic shift underneath all of us in American politics that's still going to surprise us?
Look, in the Republican case, what you're seeing is the professional Republican class. I'm tired of saying establishment. So the professional Republican class, from consultants to senators to political professionals, they believe in policies that the base of the Republican Party just demonstrated in the past year that they don't adhere to anymore, that they're seeing things differently. So when these people, the party elite, say, oh, we've had it with Trump now, these people say, I'm not going to listen to you because you're wrong on policy and you don't have my loyalty anymore. Do you know what I mean? So this is a party that is coming apart. I think the Democratic Party, in its own way, we will be seeing over the next few years going through the same thing. We may be witnessing the slow-mo end of the major dominant two-party system over the next few years.
So, John, you mentioned compulsory exercises as part of a debate. We're going to act now as the Olympic figure skating judges, as we're going to watch Rudy Giuliani in his performances, various ones this morning, defending Donald Trump and trying to work through this latest Trump crisis. Here's a mashup of Rudy Giuliani on a lot of the talk shows this morning.
Only you are out defending Donald Trump. Are you the only one in the campaign that was willing to publicly defend him?
Was Kellyanne Conway unwilling to defend Trump's remarks about women?
Well, I don't think anyone is going to defend his remarks. I'm not here to defend his comments. If he were here, he wouldn't be defending his comments.
But it's one thing to ask for forgiveness. It's another thing to ask to be elevated to the office of the presidency.
The reality is that men can change, people can change.
Don't these words reflect exactly who he is?
No, they don't.
He didn't apologize for attacking a Gold Star family. He didn't apologize to questioning the nature of a federal judge just because of his ethnicity. Why did he choose to apologize for this?
Well, I think in this case he realized we're talking about his personal behavior and his statements that were absolutely wrong.
What Trump is describing in that tape is sexual assault.
That's what he's talking about. You know, whether it happened or not, I don't know, and how much exaggeration was involved in that, I don't know.
Well, one thing for sure, we can give him a high rate of difficulty on this task.
Yes.
And Peggy, how would you say, as someone who evaluates these sorts of things and was part of these conversations, how do you do?
I can't fully say how he did because I didn't watch all of the shows. I watched John's. However, I will tell you, what we just saw was a tough guy who knew he was about to get pummeled from one end of mainstream media to the other within a 2-hour period this morning. And you got to feel some sympathy for a guy who goes out there and makes a fight that some others will not make. So give him points for that. I mean, it was a brutal spot to be in. I think I'll leave it there.
John, your impressions of not only your interaction with the mayor, but what you just saw?
Well, I think it is, as Peggy says, it's an impossible case for him here. I think this notion that Donald Trump has learned something over the campaign that makes him a different man than the one who said those remarks. I'm not sure what you can learn in the campaign that teaches you that bragging in a lighthearted way about your facility with a sexual assault is, I don't think those two things are connected. I think more important that he did not answer is that this is not the first time this has happened. The underlying theme of the entire race has been Donald Trump does something, he says he's going to change, then he changes for a little while, then comes off the beam again. This is, and so for Rudy Giuliani to say, well, he's changed, people have seen several instances in which previously it said he's changed and then he hasn't changed. So this is accumulated. It's not just a one-off.
Trump's comments about his past actions are indefensible, period. End of story. And no one would want to be, should be in the position of defending
and Rudy tried
what
not
is sexual,
to as often as he
yes,
could.
yes, of sexual assault. I think, as the point has been made, this is not new. This is a pattern of behavior and comments. I interviewed Ivanka Trump 5 months ago.
Right.
That was when the New York Times story came out. That detailed his relationship, many different anecdotes and stories of the way he has behaved towards women. And Ivanka first said, look, I think the New York Times had a thesis, and they wrote around that thesis. And I said, there's instances, though, where your father's accused of groping women. And she said, I'm not in every interaction my father has, but he's not a groper. So this has been addressed previously. We have asked them that we've known about this previously.
Yeah, that's connected to two things I'm curious about. One is there a story here? Is somebody going to write a piece in the next few days who has been a reporter, a journalist, who's been an embed, who's been on the scene, a producer, saying, look, the Trump who was just revealed in an 11-year-old tape is the Trump we see every day? Do you know what I mean? Is there a story in that story never fully came out? The other is, my goodness, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what did all of the Republican campaigns throughout the primaries that were up against Trump and in a bad way, what did they have in terms of this material, tapes and information, that they decided not to use?
Peggy,
how did that work?
I'm going to have to let Peggy have the last word on that.
Sorry,
I've been told we need to move on, and I'm told when I'm an anchor, I've got to move on. So I'm going to do that. Nora O'Donnell, CBS This Morning. John Dickerson, Face the Nation. Peggy Noonan, our contributor. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.